Thank you for that contribution. And I believe you can start your response to the issue that I raised.
Mr. Chairman, the reason I made the comment is that I think also that I've been misunderstood in terms of what I said this morning. So with your permission, I will repeat what I said, which is that when I signed up for this job, I know that when you fight corruption, that corruption will fight you back. And so I'm prepared. It's fine that after 2 years and a few months that I'm still here. And I know, because I do want to serve my country. And I will put myself at risk and have over the last 2 years to do that. What I was referring to, and that's why I was hoping you'll give me an opportunity to clarify what it was that I said, because you took it out of context. I said that the SEC had been approached with respect to this public hearing to contribute an amount of 39 million naira. That should it be assumed that because you approached the SEC, and in our role as providing public enlightenment and market development, should Nigerian people then accuse you because you've asked us for this amount and you interacted with us that you're not able to play your oversight role? I said similarly, the Honorable Speaker, in my opinion, and Deputy Speaker, a distinguished gentleman. Would you assume that because his auntie or his relation was the former Director General of the Nigerian Stock Exchange, Professor Indi Okeriko Nuke, and that his wife works in the Abuja office of the Nigerian Stock Exchange, would you assume that because of that he will not carry out his duties? I believe that he has, in my humble opinion, demonstrated that he can carry out his duties. I say this in the context of your line of questioning yesterday with respect to the fact that Access Bank had provided the SEC secondment staff, one to assist us with our facilities and another to assist us with communications and branding issues. That was the point I was making. I had also made the point that I have a concern, first given my experience yesterday, because I did not feel, Honorable Chairman, that you gave me a fair hearing. And I feel, even today, you're asking questions that relate to an organization that I've been put in charge of as the Director General. You have asked everybody else questions. And when I have asked for an opportunity to speak, you have not permitted me to speak. I'd also like to say that I was concerned about the reason I made the point about trying to taint my own reputation is that should your reputation be tainted because, as is normal, that the SEC paid for you to go on a conference to Dominican Republic on regulation in October, should somebody question your own judgment as a result of that? And that is the point I'm making, because yesterday I felt very strongly, and I'm speaking as a Nigerian citizen, and I said to you yesterday, Honorable Chairman, that I am a Nigerian citizen, and you must make sure that we feel that there's a fair hearing. And I feel that I haven't had a fair hearing. You've made insinuations, you've made allegations. And so I'm saying that I'm concerned about your credibility in this respect. Yesterday, you had asked a number of questions. You had asked me to bring my qualifications, and I brought my qualifications. You had asked me, I think you had implied that I was incompetent yesterday. And I'd like you to please explain to me whether, if I go through first the process that I have gone through to be considered for this job, including a confirmation by the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, that it is appropriate to say to me that you consider me incompetent without even considering my own credentials. Is it fair that in 1984, I graduated with a first-class honors degree in computer science from the University of Nigeria and Nsukka that I was the best graduating student in physical sciences. And that after that, during my youth course in the University of Benin, that I lectured as part of my responsibilities. And that following that, I worked with Centerpoint, a veteran brokerage firm from 85 to 87. And that after that, I moved to the UK, worked in the UK in consulting, did my degree at the Harvard Business School, got a master's in business administration, worked for the center, what is now called the Center for International Development, joined the African Development Bank as a senior financial analyst, covering West African countries, North African countries. Following that, I was a funding officer covering capital market transactions across the world, including in this continent, in Asia, in the Americas, raising money, managing multi-currency portfolios as an investment officer, running the trading room of the African Development Bank, managing a multi-currency portfolio of $10 billion, managing a foreign exchange portfolio. When I was funding officer, managing the funding program related to 7 currencies, that I then was appointed. And in each of these instances, I was actually interviewed with staff within the African Development Bank and outside of the African Development Bank. And I was appointed the group treasurer of the African Development Bank, which meant that I was most responsible for the investments across the world and the funding and borrowing program across the world. In each case, $10 billion each, including a derivatives portfolio. And then subsequently, I was then appointed Vice President of the African Development Bank. The very first female Vice President has come out of this country. And then the late President, Yaradua, then invites me to serve my country and to bring the skills that I have both from within Nigeria and outside of Nigeria to bear to this role and to bring my integrity. Is it fair, Honorable Chairman, that therefore you will now try to damage my own reputation because I want to serve my country, because I'm fighting to sanitize the Nigerian capital markets, because there were things that were done and we took positions that the SEC in recent past has not taken? Is it fair on me as a Nigerian? Is it fair on the apex regulator? Is it fair? Is it fair on the apex regulator? Is it fair on the Nigerian capital markets? Is it fair, given what we have done in the last 2 years to restore investor confidence, that you want to crash our markets in this way, Honorable Chairman? That is why I'm concerned about the issues of credibility. Because when I see the lines of questioning, when I see the choices that you make about who it is that you call upon to respond to issues, even in cases where they're not the ones responsible for it, I'm very, very concerned. So that is a point that I'm very keen to make, because we're trying to promote a democracy. And I have humbly described what I have seen over the last 2 days as a kind of report. Not even in India, means Uganda, that we have this kind of session. Honorable Chairman. Let me now, and I will present you my credentials as you asked for. I will present you my credentials as you asked for. Yesterday, you implied that there was illegal recruitment at the Securities and Exchange Commission.
Thank you, Madam. Let me say something and say something fairly. We're trying as best as possible to present ourselves as maturely as possible. We are representatives of this country, elected members of parliament. And because we want to have a decent public hearing, irrespective of the provocation, we will not be responding to those issues that you raised, and I implore my members to abandon, not to bother about the use of words, kangaroo or no kangaroo. What is important is that we do our job. We are doing an acquisition people respond to questions in different manner. You can ask somebody a question that is tough, and when somebody wants to divert their attention, he goes talking about victimization and talk about different things. But what is important is the issues. As of yesterday, the questions that we asked were based on documents at our disposal, and we asked these questions firmly, requesting for answers. Refusal to answer these questions is what is making my DG refer to us as candidate. We have no intention to be viewed as such. What we did today, and I'm sure all of you have been watching, including people who are watching at home, was to take on heads of departments of the Securities and Exchange Commission, including its agencies, and ask them questions as regard procedure in the SEC, because we're looking at the regulator itself to see how regulation has affected the market activity. In the course of all of this, she has made allegations about the Deputy Speaker, which allegation is quite sad. She has said we requested for monies. I'm sure that she will bring a letter of request signed by me forward or to the EFCC that I have submitted to saying that we requested for social money. It's not something I want to join hands here. I'll be very stupid to go requesting for money for this program and invite when I know that I want to come out to prosecute. But my point is, we have come this far. What we need to do is to get to the end of it. The issue has been that of fair hearing. And to provide fair hearing, which I think we have already done, because we gave opportunities for people, for directors, for health directors to answer questions and to answer them and exhaust the answers as much as they want. What I am going by the House is trying to do to extend its magnanimity on the marginal bounds by also allowing you, having heard what your directors have said, to also make a comment, after which you can go and enjoy the beautiful order and set for us outside. In the absence of that, if you do not want to, because if I give you this opportunity now, I expect that you will respond to the issues that have been raised. Failure to respond to the issues exactly, I will adjourn the session.
Chairman, my colleague, invited guests, you are welcome to this public hearing. I'm the Chief of the House. I've just been highlighted as what is happening in the public hearing. That's why I rushed from what I'm doing in my office to come here. Actually, I would like to remind you here that the committee that you see here, they're here on the mandate of the House. They're here by a resolution of the House. If something is happening in Nigeria, I think it is the responsibility of the National Assembly to ensure that we investigate for the purpose of reducing wastages or for the purpose of making law for the good governance of this country. Where the purpose of a lot of public hearing has been conducted in this country. Even recently we have fuel subsidy which has been just been concluded. So this one cannot be an exception to other that have been conducted since 1999 in this House. We should not be taking something personal or taking something extraneous, bringing into issue that affect Nigerians. Our concern today is the people that we are representing, including you that are sitting here. A lot of people have been affected by the conduct and act of the Security and Exchange Commission and other agencies. And Nigeria feel that we must act on their behalf. That is the purpose of the presentation. And by the power conferred on the National Assembly under the Constitution is very clear. Whatever you have personal, we are here on behalf of even the Speaker, Honorable Aminu Waziri Tamruwe, they are acting on behalf of the National Assembly, the House of Representatives, by resolution. So if you have anything personal with anybody who is a principal officer or is a member of the House of Representatives, you can do it outside the public hearing. As a Nigerian, the Constitution will give you enormous right to seek any redress, anything that they feel is infringed your right directly or indirectly. But please and please, for the interest of Nigeria and Nigerians, let us confine ourselves to fact and issues. Let us confine ourselves to the facts in issue and address this issue for the interest of Nigeria and Nigerians. Nigerians are watching us and see what we're doing. Please and please, anything personal, set it aside and look at Nigeria and those who suffer as a result of what happened in the past. We want to correct it. And the only way we can correct it is by bringing all of you, the stakeholders, who know better in that industry. Please and please, don't bring anything. All this issue will not drain the House from going ahead to do its own job. On behalf of Nigerians, please, nobody can drain us. Nobody, not even the executive or the judiciary. We must do our job as enshrined under the Constitution. We came in here through the process of the Constitution, and the Constitution empowers us to do certain things. And that's why we're here. Please and please look at Nigeria. Don't look at issues. If you have issue, a tribal issue, your constituency issue, your village issue, don't bring it into national. This national is very light. We're 360 members representing north and south of this country. Please and please. The chairman, hand over to you. Take a decision and forge ahead. Nothing will stop this public hearing from going on.
Okay, thank you, the Chief Whip of the House of Representatives. I call on the DG of the Security and Exchange Commission. I need to remind you that what I'm doing here is a resolution of this committee to, in the face of the fact that questions that we asked to be actually answered by the directors in charge of the directorates that are involved. We want to extend an opportunity for you to make certain remarks as relates to this question, so that we can put on record. So that when we go into the writing of the report of this committee, which we will do, they will be taken into consideration.
Thank you, House Chief Whip.
And you need to reaffirm your oath.
Okay, I reaffirm my oath. Thank you, House Chief Whip, for the guidance that you've provided to all of us. And also thank you, Honorable Chairman, for the opportunity to speak. I want to also say, and I'm glad that the House Chief Whip is here, that none of the documents that you have used over the last 2 days came formally from the SEC. And as I mentioned yesterday, what I would have expected as a Nigerian citizen is that if you are probing an issue, that you will give us the documents that you received to respond to. And so that for me is of concern, given the stipulations of the Freedom of Information Act. So one of the things that's of concern for me is the source of the documents, because I noticed that not all of the documents, the things have been taken out of context in many instances. Let me now attempt to respond to the issues that you've raised today and yesterday, since you're giving me a chance to. On the issue of my recruitment and my assumption of duty and the issues related to my terms and conditions, I would like to confirm that when I arrived at SEC on January 7, 2010, I was met by the executive commissioners. I subsequently had an interaction with the executive commissioner, finance and administration, and he actually, in his goodwill, raised the issue of my terms and conditions and my stay in the commission and accommodation issues. He mentioned to me that I had the option of getting rental allowance or option of getting a fully furnished official accommodation. This was then confirmed on the 11th of January by a memo that was sent by the then head of administration, Mr. Aboki Ibrahim, who is an assistant director. He was an assistant director at that time, I believe, or maybe he's a deputy director. That was confirmed by a letter which has my terms and conditions, and I would like to make that submission in addition to the qualifications that you asked. It did specify that I am entitled to 4 official vehicles, usually 2 salons, 1 CRV and 1 Jeep. And I can confirm today that what I'm told is that I have 1 pool car in Abuja and 1 pool car in Lagos for my use. So I have not even been given this that was essentially the only form of contract that I've received from the SSC. The second one also talked about official accommodation, fully furnished and maintained official residence in a suitable location and befitting the status of DG. This is a letter that I received which was sent through the Executive Commissioner, Finance and Administration. It also talks about allowances in lieu of accommodation. And it talks about hotel accommodation, Honorable Chairman, as you mentioned earlier, of a befitting hotel accommodation for first 28 days upon assumption of office. It talks about hotel accommodation after the 28 days. It talks about 2 options, and the Executive Commissioner of Finance and Administration has already mentioned that he asked me which option that I wanted. And I said I would prefer to have the official accommodation. And the reason being that when I was approached in May to go through a process, May of 2009, to join as DG SSC, the brief that I was given was that there were very critical and urgent issues that needed to be addressed. And so what I decided was that it was important for me to focus on the urgent issues at hand, which relates to the situation of our markets, which, as I've indicated previously, we had a market that had declined from a peak of 12.6 trillion naira in March of 2008 to, I think it's 3.99 trillion naira in February of 2009 and 4.99 trillion naira in December of 2009. So I knew there was a sense of urgency in terms of what I needed to do.